Hey folks, good morning. My name is Tyler Benster. I'm the tech adoption lead here at Kadena Eco, and I'm really excited to be introducing Kadena Campfire number 12, this time featuring Ryan Levy. So let's bring him up onto the stage. Hey Ryan, how you doing, man?
Hey Tyler, morning. How are you?
Pretty great. Good morning. So, folks, this is, I guess, an official introduction. You may have already met him or seen him on Twitter, but Ryan has joined the BD team here at Kadena Eco, and we are so stoked to have him on board. We all hung out at Consensus in Austin last week, had a great time, super productive conference. We'll get more into that here, but just wanted to give a huge community welcome. Please help me welcome Ryan here. We're really stoked to have him. All right, so we're going to kick things off. So we're going to follow a usual format here. We're going to give a quick update and discussion. We'll talk about some brief news and updates. We'll talk just very briefly about kind of the event calendar, and then we'll jump into a live Q&A. We have some questions that were asked already on Discord and Twitter, and then, of course, we're monitoring the chat here. So we're super stoked to have a community in the house. Feel free to drop your questions, reacts, comments all on YouTube, Twitter, LinkedIn, wherever you may be watching, and we'll try and get to as many things as possible. So briefly on updates, wanted to say that there's a lot of hiring going on, especially in Kadena.js behind the scenes. So over the coming weeks and months, you'll be sure to see some of the fruits of that labor, particularly, I think, on the dev experience side of things. We're taking things to the next level. Randy's been building out his team. The learning platform is coming online, and the beta has already been rolled out. So lots of exciting activity there. And Kadena.js, I think, will be a catalyst to help Pact and Kadena and Chainweb reach a generation of JavaScript developers and through a nice API to access the blockchain and Kadena from JavaScript. So that's very exciting. The ecosystem report of April is out with a lot of amazing news tidbits, like the hash rate has reached all-time high. There's a new grantee, Kadena Mining Club. There's some updates for builders and more. So definitely come check that out. And hopefully we can get that link here posted, and I will repost that here on the stream. And finally, in terms of some alpha for Campfire viewers, next week we will have our very own Will Martino and Stuart Popejoy joining us on Kadena Campfire. So this is super exciting. This will be our first Campfire with both Will and Stuart on at the same time. So be sure to mark your calendars for Wednesday, May 10th, as that's sure to be a really great event. And finally, in terms of events, we, just as I mentioned at the beginning of the stream, came back from Consensus in Austin, which was a fantastic conference, met all sorts of interesting folks, some community builders, and made some new connections and for some new conversations that may hopefully ultimately result in some partnerships and new announcements. So really great event, super productive. And finally, we will be at Bitcoin Miami 2023. So be sure to check out that event, and we'd love to meet folks there in person and say hello, of course. So that's it for the event calendar. And without further ado, I'd like to bring us to the main attraction of our conversation, which is getting to know Ryan a little bit. So I'm just going to kick things off a little bit and ask Ryan, would love to hear a little bit about your background and your professional trajectory.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Tyler. I'll start off with this. So you can probably see behind me, there is some wild zebra, or as you would probably call it, a zebra, talking about my background. So born and raised in South Africa, moved to Australia. So for those that were trying to pick the accent, it's a complete mix. And now call California home for the last 10 or so years. I've had a really, what I would say, an interesting ride in my personal and professional career. I've spent a lot of time in all things data, everything from data center, building out storage and data networks, building out the data centers themselves. Started off actually as an engineer, and then traversing the world, crossing the chasm to the whole business, biz dev, sales, partnership side. I've actually been involved in a number of startups as well. I guess that's what also brought me to this wonderful place called San Francisco. And it was about it was the end of 2013 that a friend of mine mentioned this concept of Bitcoin. And I'm going to say this straight up. I thought he was a little bit crazy when he told me about this. And so kind of left it, did a little bit of research into what the whole concept of cryptography was, cryptocurrency, blockchain, etc. And then really over the next few years, got a little bit more involved in the world of crypto and blockchain. I do have a rather technical interest, and I do enjoy reading the white papers and whatever else that go with it, and ended up getting a little bit more involved in about 2017. At the time, I was still involved in the world of data analytics. I actually dabbled in a little bit of cybersecurity as well. And then I finally moved full-time into the world of Web3. And I've got to say, I'll say it in the best way I can. Web3 is my jam. I enjoy it. I love the community. I love the people. I love what we're building. I love that I can get up in the morning and just punch out a million GMs and always get an engaging community and response. And more importantly, I guess on the other side of this is what we're building is a rather exciting, innovative, and engaging platform that really creates this concept of Web3. I love the partnership side too, and hence why I'm here as part of the wonderful team at Kadena.
Right on, right on.
Yeah.
Speaking of Kadena, Ryan, would love to hear the story about how you got connected to the Kadena team and found your way with us.
Yeah, absolutely. So I know you mentioned a little bit before about having just been out at Consensus, but that is actually unofficially but officially the second event that I've spent time with you guys at, because I actually met a bunch of you out at ETH Denver earlier this year. So
Yep.
I knew about Kadena from earlier on. I think I mentioned before, having spent a lot of time in the data space and the data center space, I've also spent a lot of time in the infrastructure space. So previously, I was actually involved in blockchain infrastructure, RPC endpoints and nodes and whatever else. Came across Kadena as one of the multiple protocols that I was actually looking at and talking to and whatever else. My rollout, I was actually at ChainStack. My role out there was actually head of protocols and partnerships, looking after 20 plus protocols. Dived quite deeply into Kadena, read the white paper, reached out, and then started learning more and more about the ecosystem. Because to me, there's a lot more about a blockchain and the success and what's being built than just the technology. There's the ecosystem, there's the wonderful partnerships, there's the developers, there's the DApps, there's the integration piece. And so one of the biggest pieces that actually drew me to wanting to become part of Kadena, and this is, I was not paid to say this, but actually is the team. I do, if you can't tell, I'm quite, I guess, expressive in my ways. And I love spending time with people. It fills my bucket. It energizes me. I've only had one coffee today, although it probably seems like I've had about 10.
I will say, Ryan, that when I first met you, I would run into people and you'd be talking to someone, you'd be like, "Oh, Tyler, come meet so and so," and I'd come in thinking that I just met your long lost close friend of 20 plus years, and then I'd find out that this was just a rapport you'd built over the last like 5 or 10 minutes of conversation. And so it's awesome to have someone like you, a super connector on the team, as I think that's such an asset and such a great thing in crypto, where people are very friendly, but at the end of the day, partnerships and crypto, as much a technology as there is there, it's still a business in some ways of relationships. And how do you build the relationships that then build the software that then build the ecosystem?
You're spot on. There's a couple of things that you mentioned, a couple of sayings that I just love. One is connecting the dots. To me, that is what I spend my day in, day out doing, which is connecting the dots between the technology, the developers, the DApps, the ecosystem, potential partners, etc. It's something that I just love and enjoy doing. And I love creating connections with people. It's about more than just what can you do for me, or what can I do for you? It's how can we grow and build together? And that's what makes a true ecosystem and partnership flourish. So yeah, it's not uncommon for me to walk a floor at one of the events and just have a handful of friends out there that you just met. It's the same people that you keep meeting at all these events, and you keep growing and incrementally growing your ecosystem. So yeah.
Right on. So I want to make sure we have a chance for community to start building that relationship with you too. And we have a bunch of wonderful questions. So I'm going to turn it over to some community questions. And please, folks, feel free to chime in the conversation. We want this to be as interactive as possible. Not only this is this you all meeting Ryan, but this is Ryan meeting a lot of community. So this is, I think, just a really wonderful launch pad for what's going to be a really fun role and position going forward. So I'm going to kick things off with, I should have read these ahead of time, but oh man, we have some really, really good questions. Actually, I saw one from Andrew Finnegan on Discord that I'll bring up first. I don't know if I have a banner for it yet, but the question is, hi, Ryan. Firstly, congrats on joining the Kadena team. As a partnership lead for Kadena, what type of partnerships do you envision Kadena's technology suiting best?
Awesome. Great question, Andrew. Appreciate it. I guess a virtual GM to you, because I know we haven't met in person just yet, but hopefully we do with time. The partnership piece is critical to the success of any business. And what's very important in building out the ecosystem, building out the partnerships, is making sure that the partners that we choose are not just a Me Too type partner. It's not just a check the box, make some kind of announcement, which you've probably seen over particularly the last 2 or 3 years, which is protocol by partner, there's an announcement and nothing comes of it. It's just a wonderful banner that happens on social media and nothing really comes of it. What I am rather focused on, and what I strongly believe in, is building strong, solid, mutually beneficial partnerships. And those that don't, and when I say mutually beneficial, it's actually more so, it's multifaceted. It's not just beneficial for the partner and beneficial for Kadena. It needs to be beneficial for the developers. It needs to be beneficial for the Kadena ecosystem. It needs to be greatly beneficial in helping developers have an incredible experience onboarding, using and building on the platform, and enhancing the ecosystem itself. If we talk about some of the partnerships, I will say there's probably 2, maybe 3 profiles that I'll be looking at right off the bat. Infrastructure partners, very important for us to scale and to support the developers and projects. 2 will be bridges. Anything that's going to help with cross-chain bridging, giving the ability to bring liquidity over to the Kadena ecosystem, giving the developers and users and consumers the ability to easily transact or leverage any of the DApps and projects on Kadena. And any kind of tooling and or partners that truly will enhance the experience for users and devs. Again, early days, less than 10 days into the gig, but thankfully I do have a large ecosystem, partner ecosystem, and we'll be tapping into that for Kadena.
Awesome. Want to follow up a question here live from Koala Wallet, everyone's favorite mobile wallet for Kadena. What do you feel KDA is lacking most in both a development and marketing aspect, and how do you feel we can overcome these?
Ooh, that is a great question from the wonderful team at Koala. Both development and marketing. Okay, so I think when we look at it from a lacking perspective, that'll probably put a negative spin on it. So I'm going to take the other side of it. I'm going to put a positive spin on things because if you know me well enough, I am Captain Positivity for the most part. Couple of things that I think are going to be really important from a wallet standpoint, and onboarding, a marketing, and engagement, and whatever else perspective. That'll be keeping in line with what users, developers, consumers want to see. Ease of use, simple UI, UX, simple onboarding experience. I would say easy ability to actually transact within the wallet itself, co-branding, co-marketing, events, creating a lot of what I would call rah-rah or marketing noise that's not just fluff or vaporware, but actually valuable announcements and marketing initiatives jointly, because it is a very important partnership. And then, of course, looking further down the line, and I haven't dived into this just yet, which is going to be the next phase of wallets and the use of wallets, which is going to be MPCs. It's going to be ease of ability to recover the wallet, and of course, ease of ability to transact and or use DApps in the Kadena ecosystem. I don't know if there's more you want to add to that, Tyler. Again,
yeah, I mean, I think that's a fantastic answer. I think it really hits the nail on the head when we talk about marketing. It's interesting, right? Because on the one hand, we're talking about awareness, and just creating awareness, of course, is going to help adoption, because then people know what to look out for. But on the flip side, you could make something really, really, really famous, like a meme or something, and it's not going to help any business grow per se. And so it's not just about awareness. It's about awareness plus some call to action. It's about awareness plus some content. And so I think you're exactly right that it can't just be some kind of vapid fluff, right? You want to have content and marketing that really engages people around something, some kernel, whether it's, oh, go check out this project and join this community, or join our socials is maybe some kind of an ask, but lower in terms of engagement. And then the least valuable would just be like, hey, here's what Kadena is, now you know. And so I think it's interesting that you phrase it that way, because I totally agree. On the development side, I think there's a huge amount that we can continue to do. So one of the aspects that I've been really focused on over the past year or so has been trying to get a better onboarding experience for developers. And this has been really pushed by Randy's team. And a lot of that work is about to become more and more public facing. And then, of course, Thomas Honeyman has done some incredible tutorials. For those who have been following on Kadena's Medium, there's now a seamless on-ramp that gets you from never having touched Pact before to introducing basic concepts over a series of articles, to then jumping into a couple of code bases, starting with a faucet contract and a smart wallet, and then jumping up all the way to a lending platform, Chakra. And we'll have an actual AMA about that soon. But I think that what we've seen in the development side is that it's now easier than ever to get started as a Pact developer. And we have such a passionate community that one of my beliefs is that there's huge untapped potential in terms of people that have all these great ideas that need to have a little bit more technical know-how. And now we're providing resources that can help people shortcut that technical know-how, get up to speed running quicker, and hopefully start building a new DApps over the course of weeks, not months, not years. So that's something I'm tremendously excited for.
Awesome.
All right, we got a great question here from, well, first of all, some appreciation from the last two question answers who are both in the house. Pretty awesome. A question from Action Crypto, and I can take part of this given some of the context that was before Ryan's time. If number two partnership type is bridges, and given how we have seen a bridge fail on Kadena, what do you think is needed for a bridge to be successful on Kadena? So I'll start by answering this, and Ryan, I'll turn it over to you.
Yeah.
So first of all, I think there's been big learnings on the Kadena Eco team around the grants program and how to move quickly and how to try and foster growth and development. So there's a balance, right? On the one hand, you want to ship code quickly and allow teams to grow fast and have a growth mentality and expansion mindset. But on the flip side, when it comes to financial transactions, you want to have a pretty high level of security. So there's already been changes to the grants program after the Lago Finance bridge failure. One is that audits are now mandatory and paid for as part of the grant program. So if you apply for a grant and receive a grant, there's an audit that's coming with that, and that's being funded by Kadena Eco. So that is going to be one huge aspect. Second, for bridges specifically, I think it has been a good lesson that it's probably there's areas where you want to bet on new teams that have disruptive ideas. And there's so much in Web3 where there's room for disruption and new ideas and new thoughts. If at the end of the day, you're running a protocol that's primary job is to protect and administer a bank account, then it's, I think, really important that a team has built in Web3 and in particular has built that kind of product before, if possible. So in a lot of the partnerships and BD efforts on bridges right now, it's been with teams that have previously had experience building bridges or building similar types of applications. So I think that these are kind of the learnings and the risk mitigation techniques. My philosophy is to try and be very transparent whenever we have a setback and some learnings. And so that's how we've been able to incorporate some of those lessons into Pod's direction. I would also highlight that even though there was an attack on that bridge, that no retail investors lost money, is my understanding, and all funds were protected. So while there was an exploit from a gray hat hacker, ultimately retail investors were protected. And so I think that's also some good news there. So wanted to take that question up front because I think it's a really good question, provide that context. But that context all aside, Ryan, I will turn it over to you in case you have any additional thoughts or things you want to add.
Yeah, I'll add a little to this as well. And it actually plays beyond just bridges. It plays into different types of specific partnerships. And that is, it's not about having 10, 3, 5, 10, 20 partners that can all bridge, or 3, 5, 10 partners that can do X, Y, or Z. It's about having solid teams, products, technologies that can add value to what we're building here at Kadena and what we're doing to enhance the dev and user experience. So actually in my past, I was actually working for a blockchain prior. I spent a year and a half running biz dev and partnerships out there. And it's the same kind of mantra, which is you don't need 5 or 10 bridges. You need a bridge or 2 bridges that are respected, trusted in the industry, where you can validate the team, you can validate the technology, you can validate the smart contracts that it's built upon. And you can provide as much security and validation for the transactions that will be coming across these bridges. So in saying so, I guess to actually sum up what I'm saying there, we do due diligence and we'll continue to do due diligence internally before clicking the switch, the on switch for any of the bridges. But the ones that we are looking at and the ones that we are in deep conversations with are highly respected, industry trusted bridges.
All right. Awesome. Some great comments here in the chat. I see some funny comments here. I'll say Action Crypto. Yeah, you caught me. I had a cell phone that was buzzing and I pushed it off the side of the screen. Nobody can detract me from Campfire. Campfire is my number one priority here. This is too much fun interacting with you all. All right. Saw a question. This was actually way earlier on the stream. Where did it go? Someone asked a question. Well, we'll always be able to scroll back and find it. But in the meantime, let me jump to a new one. All right. These are the camp. I have figured out something about this interface. Here we go. Shakta, what does Ryan see as the most promising business use cases which can scale rapidly? And how can he or Kadena help to foster growth in these areas?
Ooh, that's a great question. Shokta, I'm hoping I pronounced that correctly. Great. Thanks for sharing. Great question. I'm going to give my perspective again, less than 10 days in. From, I would say, DeFi, certainly. NFTs, certainly. Governance. We actually had some interesting calls around DAOs yesterday and the use for Kadena in governance mechanisms beyond just DAOs as such. I mentioned this a little earlier, smart wallets. One of the things that has really been a barrier to entry for probably not many of those on the call here, because I'm going to guess that the Kadena ecosystem and community are a smart bunch of engaged Web3 people. But for those outside of that, onboarding and using wallets is really difficult and has been very difficult to date. So creating a UI, UX dev experience that is just really simple and not scary for users to use, I think will be very important for us. The smart wallets, I think even Koala Wallet mentioned that earlier in the there you go. Kobe's talking about it right now. The smartest wallet for the smartest blockchain. Love it. Kobe, great to hear from you. Always love spending time with you. And then, of course, something that is very important is going to make sure that people understand that when they're building on, connecting to, partnering with, deploying on Kadena, that they get the true benefits of a highly decentralized, highly performant, and highly secure blockchain. And most of the blockchains out there will sacrifice one of the three for two others. Most times it's the decentralization piece that we lose, or the security side. But just being able to bring DApps and apps and builders and whatever else onto the ecosystem, knowing that we're solving for what blockchain is actually there for, I think will be highly critical. So just going back, Shokta, to your original question, I would say DeFi, NFTs, smart wallets, the smartest wallet for the smartest blockchain, and governance.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Great answer. Let's see here. We have a few more. Wow, we have a lot of really good pre-asked questions too, and I see more coming in. So let's see. I saw this one on Twitter actually, so let's jump to it. From the link, why 3 years down the line is Kadena's TVL with $2 million, a mere 1% ratio to market cap? What are you doing to capture more value to the chain? So I'll start a little bit with some historical stuff and turn over to Ryan. So one aspect here is, I think, the lack of stable coins, and the lack of, a stable coin is, I think, a huge aspect of TVL. So people that are locking up value on chain often want to know that the value that they're locking up has some degree of stability. And so in some other ecosystems, stable coins account for a pretty high portion of TVL. And so that's obviously an active area of effort, both in terms of stablecoin development, onboarding existing stablecoins, bridging assets, etc. So definitely aware of that as a catalyst for DeFi in general, and that's a key core focus of the BD team. And then I think I would also say is, in terms of capturing more value to the chain, I think it comes down to applications and use cases and helping direct more and more folks into the ecosystem. So I think historically, it's been easier to buy KDA than it has been to get it out of the exchanges and start interacting with the ecosystem. And that's something that is rapidly starting to change thanks to the developments of folks like Koala Wallet. Thanks to, of course, we've had Zelcore and Chainweaver for a while that allow for some signing APIs. Thanks to new Wallet Connect standards, X Wallet, the number of wallets and the quality of those wallets is increasing. And so having those ecosystems and gateways, people often say when ledger, but I think there's more integrations here that'll be soon coming that will help people feel comfortable taking that KDA off of exchanges and interacting more with the ecosystem. And of course, that's part of the marketing and the education, letting people know about all the amazing projects, whether it's Wizards or CAD Cars or Crank or KDA Mining Club. There's such an opportunity to help people get more involved with all the great things going on.
Yes, I'll add to that, Tyler. I think there's probably three things. One, we've got to get the bridging in place. That will really help with bringing liquidity across, and of course help with stable coins. Totally agree with that. Two, we as the BD partnerships organization are spending a lot of time and effort at the different events, meeting the different partners, meeting the different DApps, making sure that we're capturing as much of the market share as possible, which will help also drive liquidity and drive use of the chain. And thirdly, which I don't think he's made an appearance on a Campfire just yet, but recently Nick joined as well, who is the head of DeFi, who from a biz dev perspective, and will also help capture a lot of these DeFi projects, help with the DeFi partnerships, and help capture that liquidity. So I think we're getting to the point where we'll be able to step our foot heavy on the gas pedal. Right now, we're creating these relationships, building out the bridging piece, the DeFi piece, and the partnerships, and then we should see valuable growth in TVL.
Terrific. Thank you, Ryan. Also want to highlight a great answer from community from DCF. We need a money market and a perpetual self-custody on-chain trading DApp. Think GMX or Apex. I wouldn't trade on any other chain if we had that. Obviously, also faster finality for these services. Thanks. That's a really interesting and insightful comment. I definitely need to look more at some of the on-chain trading apps like GMX and Apex. I know that we've seen Serum and Perps and DYDX, and there's so many different ways of doing trading that goes beyond Uniswap V2 style dexes. And so I think that's a really insightful point. And faster finality, I'll just say, if you followed some of the hints around some of the layer 2 activity that's happening at Kadena, that should give you some confidence that there's some interesting things in the works along that line. Let's see here. A bunch more questions here. Let's see here. Action Crypto. Yeah, you have great questions, man. So don't worry about hogging it too much. We'll try and spread the love with bringing questions around here. But I will take your next one. First 10 days in, towards Ryan, what challenges have you personally faced? This is Circle of Trust, so be honest here.
Oh, I call it the triangle of trust, but I love that question. Wow. Challenges personally facing. Wow. I'm going to say not many just yet. I started literally on, when was it? Day one was 4/20, April 20th, and which was a Thursday, and Monday I flew out to Austin for Consensus. And the best thing that took place was not just seeing a lot of people that I knew in the ecosystem, not just getting to the event and the side events. The best thing that came out of that was breaking down the barriers for relationships within the team, because we spent quite a lot of time together as a team. So it's a difficult question to answer, because I don't have challenges just yet. I'm going to say there's a bit of the drinking from the fire hose to get up to speed, learning the way that Kadena operates, learning the way that the blockchain is positioned, and developing, I guess, my talk track and my ability to succinctly and successfully represent Kadena to partners and the ecosystem. And that just takes a bit of time. Yeah. I will say this, though, if I can, Tyler, it looks
Please.
like Action Crypto followed up with an interesting question, and I'm happy to answer it. It's a little bit personal, but he asked, you're going to be an instrumental part of the growth of the ecosystem, so knowing who you are is important. What's something you do outside of work that is important to you? There's a number of things. As you get to know me, every single day I'm up before the sun rises. That is important to me. I get up, I work out, which gets my mind in place and ready to get the day going. You'll usually see a GM tweet from me first thing in the morning, because I like to do it and I like to engage with the community. I have a family of, I have 3 kids and love spending time with them. And travel is another thing that I am very passionate about. So it helps me explore other cultures. It helps me learn a lot more about different people. I'm a firm believer in having a growth mindset. I've been very fortunate in my career, and both personal and professional, to have some incredible mentors along the way. I always look for mentors. And in return, I like to give back as well. So if I can ever mentor or help or guide people, I do so. I am just an all-rounded, passionate person. So outside of work, those are a couple of things that I like to do.
Right on. Awesome. Love that discipline. I think that's an element that translates into the rest of the day, into the rest of your work and professional persona. It's definitely clear.
Yeah.
Saw a question really early on the stream that I wanted to get to from Papalong Balls. Funny name. Are you allowed to talk about the lawsuit? Sure. So I have some statement that I'm allowed to read. Where is that? So there was a recent lawsuit. And I guess the statement is, we engaged a short-term consultant. We were dissatisfied with the quality of his work and terminated the contract in December 2021. There's pending litigation, and we will defend ourselves vigorously. So for those that don't know, there's some fellow that I guess was a consultant. I've been an investor in Kadena since 2017. I was an investor when this person, I guess, was a consultant. Had never heard of him, didn't realize he worked with Kadena until basically this morning. And yeah, so that's all I can share there. But ultimately, as you see in business, as people and companies get more and more successful, you start to attract more and more attention. And where there's cash and an opportunity and businesses being built, there's folks that try to get in the way of that. Yep. Anyway, on a happier note, if you want to get on Ryan's good morning train, you should definitely come follow him on Twitter. There's his Twitter down below here. Yeah, definitely a good person to follow if you want to stay in touch with some of the latest comings and goings in the Kadena ecosystem. And appreciation from Action Crypto.
I will say, Tyler, I will become a lot more responsive and I guess forthcoming in Kadena supportive tweets as well. So expect a lot of tweets coming from me in support of Kadena, in support of the ecosystem, announcements, partnerships, and the like. It just takes a little bit of time to ramp up, but it's coming.
Right on, right on. So from Nacho Libre, is the reason KDA isn't making an appearance at conferences? What are the plans moving forward? So we are going to conferences, doing a lot of personal, individual, one-on-one types of conversations. There's some events that are happening that Kadena will sponsor and organize. So definitely something that we're doing. Although, Ryan, I know you've gone to a number of crypto conferences at this point. Yep. Would love to hear your thoughts as to how we can most effectively interact in some of these venues and raise awareness for Kadena.
Definitely. Actually, I can say, funnily enough, I think in the last 12 to 18 months, I've probably attended 20 plus Web3 conferences globally. They are amazing. They drive passion and energy, and they're grueling at the same time. You come back and you are just dead. If you've done it right, you're dead. And when I say done it right, it means you've spent your time talking to, meeting, connecting, building relationships, connecting those dots, enhancing the ecosystem, building brand awareness. One thing I have done in the past is I've been part of organizations where you actually have a booth or, a physical marketing presence in the expo or at the actual conference themselves. I am on two sides of the fence when it comes to this as to the true ROI behind it. It is great for capturing traffic and talking to people. I do strongly believe, though, that the majority of the deep, incredible conversations and relationships actually take place at side events and not at crypto events themselves. The events themselves are great for people that want to enhance their education. They want to sit through some of the sessions, and of course, any of those that they want to bring home a suitcase of swag. But I think for us, we'll continue to and actually increase the amount of events that we attend. What we may do is we may send slightly smaller teams to a larger number of events and then choose a handful that we'll send the big teams to, because it's very important also for team building and bonding. But it is a hard one to balance between the ROI of actually hosting a booth, or if it were completely up to me, I would say it's even better to host like a happy hour jointly with a partner. I would do it jointly with one or two partners that are collaborative and complementary in our ecosystem. And that way we can bring the community together face-to-face, ask questions, do a couple of, have some great conversations, and of course, some good giggles. The other piece that is going to be important for us is to get some speaking slots at some of these events, which we will push to do.
Right on. Great answer. I think I'm all for the mixer, so let's make that happen. Should be a good time.
Yeah, Action Crypto is all in. I love it.
Yeah, there we go. I have a great question here that I'm going to give a super fun evasive dodge for. So Joe Hender, is the L2 solution Stuart has been discussing a new L2 built for Kadena, or is it an existing L2 project that's looking to adopt Pact and potentially use Kadena as a settlement layer? Great question. And I'm going to make you wait a week. So come back next week and ask that question to Stuart when he's on. That'd be a super fun question to interact. I need to be careful about what alpha is dropped, and ultimately the big boss can drop whatever alpha he wants to. All right, let's see here. So I saw a couple more interesting questions. Let's see here. I see. Yeah. Sorry, folks. The layer 2 and the fastest settlement questions. Those are gonna be next week questions, but not ignoring them. I think they're great questions from Discord. So thanks for asking those.
There was a good question that came there, actually.
Oh yeah, did I just skip it?
Can you put past it about the bridging? Yeah.
Oh yeah. Let's see here about the bridging.
Yeah, I think it was.
Oh, there we go.
Layer 0 wormhole. So
yeah.
I will give a very who called me out about that. I think it was Action Crypto called me out for being able to swing a conversation really well. I will say this: hold your beer, as they say. We are working on amazing partnerships for bridging. We are working on incredible ecosystem partners in that space, all of them from the L0 perspective. So for those on this call that haven't actually engaged with Layer 0 yet, as in not Layer 0, the company, but Layer 0 is in the concept. There are existing technologies like Layer 0, Axelar, Zeta Chain, Horizon, all of which we will be in communications with, we will start discussions with. And then, like I said, much earlier on, we're going to look to onboard the best of breed and trusted partners that we can bring on board for actual bridging technologies. So I'll say it again, hold your beer. There'll be some announcements over a short period of time.
I love it. All right, we got a more sentiment mega trends question from Shakta. It's a well-applied trope to say bear markets are good for builders, but how does Ryan view the impact of the current downtrend, FTX, Celsius, etc., and a negative SEC on future growth?
Sorry, I was just reading Action Crypto's message at the same time saying he's not calling me out but complimenting me, and I'm going to have to do the same thing right now, which is spin this. I love it. Which is, I'll use a term that I think is very, very important for anybody in the crypto blockchain Web3 space. If ever you're in doubt, zoom out. It's very important to do so. It's a good trader's technique. It's people that are looking at the market to understand trends and to understand market sentiment. Yes, the market sentiment right now is pretty low. There's been a lot that's happened, as explained here, FTX, Celsius, 3IC, etc. But what has happened, the same as the downfall of SVB and Silvergate, etc. But what's important to understand is that has impacted a bit, or quite heavily, I'd say, on the VC funding perspective. What it hasn't impacted, if you look deeply into the projects and partnerships and whatever else, is it hasn't really impacted the grant programs and the grant initiatives. We've taken a really strong approach to revamping our grant program and the grant initiatives. We're building out a great matrix as to how to identify good candidates for the grants, good candidates to be able to actually receive a grant and then successfully be able to build. And I think it's very important, if you step back, take the 30,000 foot view and look at where the market is. Events are taking place constantly. If you look at crypto Twitter, it is super active. Yes, filter out the noise of the meme coins for a second, because I don't know if you can talk about market sentiment based on meme coins, but what you can tell is there's a lot of engagement. There's still a lot of passion. and there's still a lot of people that are building in this space. We've seen it through the bear market. The bear market is a builder's market. I've seen it with a number of teams. I actually am on the board and mentor a number of other projects. And the passion and the vision and the focus is, as I love to say, forward always, or focus forward. It's about building and creating, because we're going to come out of this. We're going to come out of this stronger. There'll be some new rules and regulations. There'll be some new banks we can depend on, because we still need that in some manner. But on the other side, I would say that the market sentiment is actually starting to increase. You just need to zoom out to see so. I think it's actually important. I'll add this. I think it's actually important for us to have these negative impacts, because just like in life, they're the setbacks that help you understand the value of what you're building, and to understand the value of where you're growing and how we're growing this industry. So yeah, I'll leave it with that. Two sayings that are actually very important to me, and I use them all the time in this space, which is forward always and fail forward. We have to fail to move forward. So I'll leave you with that. I'll call it Ryan's Alpha.
I love it. Man, Ryan, you just dropped some great phrase right when I want to take one or two more questions, but man, that's the perfect thing to end on. So maybe we'll have you just repeat that.
Oh, I could do it. You want me to?
Maybe we'll see. We'll see. I'll cue you for something. For some reason, I have a feeling you're good at closing statements. Yeah. All right. So we have another question. This was asked on, I think, Discord from 4IR Alpha. Why not attract DApps that are already successful in multiple chains to deploy on Kadena as well?
Awesome. I'm going to guess that is Air Alpha.
Oh, yeah.
It's going to be my take.
Yeah,
I'm just going to read.
Probably better than
I'm going to take the Web3 goggles and read it. I would say it's not that we're not looking to attract them. It's actually the opposite. So we are working on, I'll share again, I'll probably have to reiterate, I'm sorry, but I'll share again the initiatives that we're going down the path of to actually attract the DApps. Multi-chain DApps, very important. We've seen it with everything from DeFi to NFTs to Web3 DApps to traditional DApps to gaming to enterprise DApps. A lot of them are looking at multiple chains to actually build. What is very important to understand is it's great to have a multi-chain narrative. What you are actually doing when creating multi-chain engagement is you're also splitting TVL. So you're splitting out the TVL across multiple chains. So it doesn't mean that you gain all that TVL suddenly or that you double it. What we're doing to actually attract that is we're attending and ramping up the events that we're going to, which means we're in front of a lot more DApps and partners. Increasing and enhancing our grant program, attract those DApps, let them come build on Kadena. We want to see the right projects build on Kadena. It's not going to be everybody, but we want the right DApps that are looking to either at a multi-chain platform or actually looking to migrate to actually build on us. And what we've actually seen, particularly in the market, just to go back to who was it? It was who came up with the question about the downtrends? I can't remember who it was. It could maybe be Shokta. I may be wrong.
I think it was Shokta.
Yeah. What's just coming back to that is that during this bear market, what we've actually seen are the projects that can survive, that have built something solid, and that will make a great and viable partner to build on Kadena. So now we can go after these because, there has been a bit of a shakeout. And as we determine where the market's going to go and where these projects are going to go, we can certainly grab our share.
Terrific.
So just to go back to it, Air Alpha, we're on it. Thank you for bringing that to the top of surface again.
So I see we have a bunch more questions that have come in here the last couple of minutes. Unfortunately, we only have time for one more question, so I'm just going to pick the one that I think will be the best to end on. But please tune in next time and definitely keep asking the questions. I will say, for future knowledge, if you join the stream early and ask your question at the beginning, there's a very, very high chance we answer it. If you join the stream late and ask at the end, it's kind of 50-50, roll the dice. So I have a question from Pericles Galanakis. That was a hopefully not too butchered pronunciation. What would be your dreamy partnership regarding Kadena? The one you would feel most proud of making it happen?
Wow, that is an excellent question. I would say it is a hard one to answer today, but I will answer it in this way. I will put Ryan's spin on it for a second, and that is, to me, a partnership that is critical to mass Kadena adoption. I'm not looking. I would say a partnership that just solves for a single problem is good if it's a critical problem. A partnership that enables the ability for a larger number of DApps to actually build, and in turn, a substantially larger amount of users to then actually leverage whatever's been built on Kadena, to me, would be the ultimate. Because what that means is we're then solving for TVL, we're solving for transactions, and we're solving for on-ramp and use of the actual Kadena platform.
Right on. Well, folks, we're a few minutes over time here, but wanted to make sure we gave Ryan his due and also get to as many of these community questions as possible. It's been honestly a really fun conversation, Ryan. I've learned a few new things about you, so that's been a good time. And it's been great just to co-host this with you here and to introduce you to the Kadena community. So thank you so much for tuning in, and what a delight to have you on Campfire. We'll definitely have to bring you back soon.
Thank you. Thanks, Tyler. Been a pleasure. Love it. No better way to spend my morning. Thank you to the community, and great to be a part of the team.
All right, I'm putting you on the spot. Any parting words of wisdom or thoughts?
Yes, I'm going to leave it with exactly what I said earlier on. It is a very, very, very important saying. Fail forward. Keep testing, keep trying. If you're not failing, you're not pushing hard enough, but make sure you fail forward. Learn from it and push forward.
Amazing. Thank you all for joining, and we'll catch you next week. So long.